Breaking right now, an extraordinary courtroom verdict. Prince Harry has lost his £50 million case against the Daily Mail. But today, as he arrives for a speech at Chatham House, the moment this devastating verdict is announced, I can tell you, he has also lost his reputation.
He had a speech ready. According to people close to the situation, Harry walked into Chatham House on the day of the verdict with a script in his pocket. If he had won on even one of the 14 counts, just one, he was going to stand at that podium and announce himself as the man who brought down the Daily Mail, the Dragon Slayer, the prince who finally defeated the British press. Instead, he walked into that building having just received the news that he had lost every single one of them.
Harry has to explain why he lied in court about his relationship with Charlotte Griffiths.
Not 14 minus 1. Not 14 minus 3. All 14. A total comprehensive rejection from Justice Nicholl that commentators are calling the most devastating courtroom defeat any member of the royal family has ever suffered. And as he stood on that stage at Chatham House, his voice carefully controlled his face, described by those present as haunted.
In this written verdict delivered from the High Court, Justice Nicholl said associated called journalist witnesses who gave lawful explanations for the sourcing of the disputed articles and incidents. The court accepted their evidence, including their denials of unlawful information gathering. The allegations were serious. They included allegations of dishonesty, unlawful conduct, and deliberately false evidence. The more serious and less likely an allegation is, the more convincing the evidence must be before a court can find it proved.
He had no idea that Paul Dacre, the editor-in-chief of Associated Newspapers, was simultaneously releasing a personal statement that would be read around the world. He had lost the case. He had lost the money. And according to commentators, including legendary royal biographer Hugo Vickers and American broadcaster Paula Frolick, he had also lost something that cannot be recovered in a courtroom: his reputation.
I hope you leave this conference with a deeper understanding of what the Invictus movement really is, and not simply a week of sport every 2 years, but a community united by one belief: that the unconquered human spirit exists in every nation, and that our shared responsibility is to create the conditions in which it can flourish.
Welcome to the Marquee Report. This is the full story of what just happened, what the verdict actually says, and why commentators are now calling on King Charles to strip Harry's titles permanently. Let's be precise about what Justice Nicholl's ruling actually contained, because the specifics are more devastating than the headline number. Harry brought 97 allegations against the Daily Mail and Mail on Sunday. He alleged bugs had been placed in cars and homes. He alleged phone calls were listened to as they were made. He alleged illegal access to bank accounts. According to royal commentator and Daily Telegraph columnist Lee Cohen and broadcaster Paula Frolick, these were presented as serious and documented violations of privacy reaching back years. Justice Nicholl dismissed every single one. In his written ruling, the judge found that the Daily Mail's journalists gave lawful explanations for the sourcing of every disputed article. The court accepted their evidence, including their direct denials of unlawful information gathering. The judge stated that the more serious and less likely an allegation is, the more convincing the evidence must be before a court can find it proved. The evidence was not convincing enough on a single count. Associated Newspapers released their formal response, which commentators described as one of the most pointed corporate statements in recent British legal history. The statement called the verdict an overwhelming victory for the Daily Mail and its journalists, and for a free press generally.
Let's go to court. They wanted to put the nail in that coffin, and right now he's financially up a creek, reputationally up a creek, and I think Invictus is going to be the ultimate victim in this.
That my life is open season to be commercialized by these people. To act in the public interest is to interest the public. I fundamentally reject that. Having my life, like others, commercialized in this way since I was a teenager, delving into every aspect of my private life, listening to calls, blagging flights so they could see where I was going. It was a time when everyone was in competition with each other. To sit here and go through this again, and to hear them claim in their defense that I don't have any right to privacy, is disgusting. They have made my wife's life an absolute misery, my lord.
It described the original allegations as lurid and preposterous. It stated that no credible evidence was ever presented for claims, including bugs in people's cars and homes and illicit access to bank accounts. According to commentary from Dan Wooten's panel, including Hugo Vickers and Paula Frolick, this was not a split decision. This was not a judge giving Harry something small to walk away with. This was a complete destruction. Here is the part of this verdict that commentators say carries the most damaging long-term implications, because it goes beyond losing a case and into questions about what Harry said under oath.
Well, and you raise a lot of interesting points, I must say. And you mentioned his reputation. I mean, he hasn't done an awful lot to enhance his reputation in the last few years. When you talk about some of the things to do with his wish for privacy, well, we think back to the memoir Spare, which I myself reviewed. I read the whole thing. I found a great number of faults of fact in it. So I think he was probably very unwise to go to court against the Daily Mail unless he had, an absolutely cut and dried case, and he quite clearly didn't. And so we must respect the verdict of the court. And I just wonder what will happen next.
I had no idea she was a journalist. I never used the name Mr. Mischief.
Did you meet her in Ibiza?
I don't think that can be right.
Surely Prince Harry was lying in court. Will there be a consequence to that?
I'm not sure if there's going to be a legal one in the UK. There will definitely be a social one, because right now I can legally say Prince Harry, comma, a known liar. Or if I was kind, Prince Harry, comma, a known serial memory variant, And the other thing is, in the US, it is very hard to sue someone for libel.
Charlotte Griffiths is the editor-at-large of the Mail on Sunday. During proceedings, Harry claimed he had never really known her, that he would not have recognized her name, that his social circles were not in contact with journalists of that kind. The Daily Mail then produced Facebook messages, direct exchanges between Harry and Griffiths from 2011 and 2012. The messages make clear not just that they knew each other, but that they had a close and apparently intimate relationship. Harry had apparently called her Griff in messages, and she had referred to him by a nickname, Mr. Mischief, that appeared in the direct exchange. One message Harry sent to Griffiths in December 2011 read, "Hi, it's H, in case you were confused by the name in the picture." She replied, using the Mr. Mischief name he apparently used for himself. A January 2012 message from Harry read, "Miss our movie snuggles. I'm off comms." Commentators including Dan Wooten claimed directly that Harry lied in court about the nature of his relationship with Charlotte Griffiths. Paula Frolick stated on the panel that she can now legally describe Harry as a known liar. The judge's ruling noted specifically that Harry went beyond giving factual evidence during his testimony. Wording legal commentators say is significant. Charlotte Griffiths had kept those messages private for years. It was only when Harry took her to court that she produced them. Royal watchers note the irony. A case Harry brought to protect his privacy may have exposed more about his private life than any tabloid ever did. Here is the commercial reality that follows from this verdict, and it is significant. The total legal costs across this case are reported at over £50 million. Under the British legal system, the losing party typically pays the winner's costs. Paula Frolick reported on the panel that Harry does carry some insurance, but that it will not cover everything. The view among commentators is that the one claimant with sufficient personal wealth to absorb the full liability is Elton John. There was also a specific detail Frolic reported from her own independent reporting in London. A source with knowledge of Invictus Birmingham told her that Harry has so far raised only £4 million against the government's contribution of £29 million. The unwritten expectation is that he match or exceed that figure with corporate or private donations. He has not come close. Frolic's assessment was direct. At this pace, Invictus Birmingham may be postponed, and if it is postponed, it will likely be cancelled. The corporate interest that previously surrounded Harry's brand has been in steady decline. This verdict, according to commentators, is not going to reverse that trajectory. Here is the context that makes Harry's week in London even more extraordinary. Because the court verdict was only one part of a chaotic sequence of events. Harry had apparently been offered accommodation at Buckingham Palace for his UK visit. Reports indicate he did not formally accept or decline that offer within the time frame the palace required. Staff who would have been needed to facilitate the stay were reallocated. The offer expired. A royal aide quoted by The Sun described the king's position in specific terms. The king was being tested beyond endurance. He wants to be a loving father and grandfather, but that was being tested beyond endurance. He is not willing to be pushed around, nor to indulge a constant state of chaos. Commentators on the panel, including Hugo Vickers, noted a pattern they say has defined Harry's return attempts. Claims about security requirements that, according to Ravek, have not changed. References to the children being excited about visiting. Reports that Harry planned to film at Diana's grave for a documentary marking the 30th anniversary of her death. Vickers was measured but direct. Whatever the personal desire for reconciliation, the moment Harry appears in Britain, he becomes a total distraction. The work of the working royal family gets overshadowed by whatever Harry is doing or thinking or planning. Here is the statement that commentators say said what nobody in the British establishment had previously said quite this plainly. Paul Dacre released a personal response to the verdict that read in part, Prince Harry wrote a sad book which boasted about his killing of 25 Taliban, his drug-taking, and in cringe-making detail how he lost his virginity. There isn't a laundry in the cosmos big enough to wash down all the dirty linen he has aired about his own family. For him to complain about his privacy being invaded takes not just the biscuit, but the whole tin. Dacre also noted something that commentators, including Vickers, found particularly pointed. That Princess Diana herself liked the Daily Mail. She was reportedly a regular contact of the paper's royal correspondent, Richard Kay. She and Dacre spoke personally. According to Dacre, the Mail was her paper. The significance of that claim in the context of Harry's stated motivation, that he is doing this work in his mother's name, was not lost on the panel. Commentators noted the irony of a son fighting the newspaper his mother trusted most. Here is where the panel of commentators, Hugo Vickers, Paula Frolic, and Lee Cohen, speaking on Dan Wootton Outspoken, landed on what this verdict means for Harry's future relationship with the institution. Vickers distinguished clearly between personal and institutional reconciliation. A private meeting between father and son, yes, particularly given Charles's health situation and the emotional cost to both of continued estrangement. But Harry as a working royal or in any official capacity, no. The distraction he creates is too significant. Vickers also raised the children directly. Their faces are never seen publicly. They have no meaningful memories yet of either grandfather. If they are brought to the UK now, and part of that visit involves filming at Diana's grave for a future documentary, commentators describe that framing as exploitative. Frolic stated that Harry does not appear to genuinely care about the institutions and people he claims to champion. She cited the case of Scott Snow, a Canadian veteran injured at the Invictus Games, who has been left with significant medical debt, while the organization's finances remain under scrutiny. Lee Cohen noted that no charity of significance will easily attach itself to Harry following this verdict. The reputational damage is not abstract, it is structural. Dan Wooten's position stated directly, King Charles must now strip Harry's titles. The case this week has confirmed, according to commentators, what they have argued for years, that Harry is prepared to lie under oath to damage people whose only offense was doing their jobs. Here is where everything stands following July 9th, 2026. Harry lost all 14 counts against the Daily Mail. He lost on every allegation. The court accepted the honesty of every male journalist who testified. Facebook messages were produced that directly contradict what Harry said under oath about his relationship with Charlotte Griffiths. The Buckingham Palace accommodation offer expired unused. The Invictus Games Birmingham faces a significant fundraising shortfall, with a potential postponement, according to sources Paula Frolick spoke to independently. And Paul Dacre released a personal statement noting that Princess Diana, the woman Harry claims he is honoring, was a regular contact of the paper her son has spent years trying to destroy. A prepared victory speech sat unused in Harry's pocket. He walked off that Chatham House stage having delivered his remarks about the unconquered human spirit, and got back into a Range Rover with a verdict that confirmed what multiple commentators have said for years. The more opportunities Harry creates to tell his story in public, the more the public record contradicts the version he is telling. This has been the Marquee Report. Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss what comes next. See you on the next one.